Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about design strategy. Now, this is one of the most important, vital, crucial parts of design, but it's a part that a lot of businesses neglect. Now, I want to tell you guys the importance of design strategy before I even tell you exactly what it is and how it works. And I'm going to tell you the importance by giving you kind of a story. All right, so we got this guy right here. His name's John, and John has some kind of heart problem, right? He's got something going on inside his heart. Maybe it's like beating irregular, or he feels palpitations. He has this whole list of pain points that he has, and he puts down a list of all of his symptoms. He goes to Google and WebMD, and he does about 2-3 weeks of like extensive research on all of these symptoms, and he has concluded that he has such and such heart disease, right? And so he says, hey, I need to go to the cardiologist. So he goes to the cardiologist, Dr. So-and-so, and Dr. So-and-so, he says, hey, how can I help you today? And John says, hey, look, I've done all this research. I have this is my list of symptoms that I've been experiencing. These are my pain points. I've done all my research. This is what I have. I have this disease, and I just need you to prescribe me with this medication. And so how much is that going to be? I'll just be a cash patient. So Dr. So-and-so, he says, okay, no problem. I look at the list. It sounds like you've done a really good job at this. You know what you're doing. You've done your research. Here's the prescription. He does no diagnostic. He does no checkup on John. He just takes John for his word for what it is. Well, John takes the bottle of pills that Dr. So-and-so prescribes him based off of his own self-diagnosis. And 2 weeks later, John's dead. What happens is Dr. So-and-so, he failed to do any kind of test or diagnostic on John, and he just took his word at face value and prescribed him without doing any kind of testing or discovery for himself. What he would have found out is that John is actually allergic to this medication, and it was going to be detrimental to his body. And in fact, not only is he allergic to the medication, that medication was for a disease that had really similar side effects or symptoms as John's disease, and actually John misdiagnosed himself. So whose fault is it in this story? Is it John's or is it the doctor's? Obviously, it's the doctor's fault because John doesn't know anything about heart surgery or heart problems. He didn't go to school for it. He just did 2-3 weeks worth of research on WebMD and on Google. And the doctor just took his word for it, prescribed him what he asked for. He did what he asked for, but it didn't help out the patient in the long run. This is the perfect scenario of what happens a lot of times when companies work with design agencies. See, a design agency, they're sitting back and they're thinking of what is a design challenge that I can solve. And so here's the difference between design and strategy. Strategy, you're thinking of a business challenge. So you're the patient in this case, and you're saying, here's my pain point, here are the goals that I want, here's my the vision that I have for my business. These are the expected outcomes that I want as a business. So how can we go about doing that? A designer, all they're really thinking about is, does this look pretty? What is it? So these are the questions that a strategist is asking. Does it work? Why are we going to build something, or why are we going to design something? A designer is asking, is it pretty? What is it? Design strategy, or using discovery, is what bridges the gap between strategy and design. Okay, so now here's a typical process that is followed. Now, whether you're doing it the correct way or the incorrect way, you're really following this process. So the process is vision, brainstorm, strategy, then design, develop, and continue. Now, the incorrect way of doing this, or what a lot of companies do, is they have a vision. They have an expected outcome. They have goals, visions for where they want to take their agency or their company, their organization. They have these deliverables that they want to do. They have expected sales quotas they want to fill. The vision is pretty clear, but the steps in how to get there are vague and fuzzy. And so what they do is they have a brainstorming session. If it's a small company, he'll just do a brainstorming session by himself. If it's a bigger company, they maybe get department heads or key stakeholders, and they'll have a brainstorming session with all these people thinking, okay, here's our vision, here's where we want to take the company, here's what we want to do. Let's all think about different ways that we can accomplish our goals. And so, now we're turning department heads like, accounting and marketing and all these different departments, we're turning them into marketing strategists or branding strategists or designers by making them do research and just self-diagnose their own problem. Then they come up with a strategy, and usually the strategy is called a request for proposal. And so they say, here's our goal, here's our brainstorming session. We've now come up with a list of things that we need to accomplish our goals. And this is usually made in a request for proposal. That request for proposal has requirements that they want. We want a website, we want graphic design done, we need photography, this is what we want it to look like. And then they go to a designer and they say, hey, how much is this to design and develop? And the designer, they're excited, they're saying, hey, they've already done their due diligence, I don't really have to do the work of strategizing. It's all laid out for me. My goal is just to make it look pretty. Now, when we design from a point of no strategy, then it's really subjective. It's really open to the whims of my own personal preference. John might like blue, I like green. Well, who wins? If there's no strategy to say, well, we should have blue because that caters more to the target market that we're actually trying to reach, or we should have this type of typography or this type of messaging, and having a strategy dictate the design, well, then it's always going to be subjective, and whoever has, I guess, the stronger personality or the higher position in the company will win. And so they have the vision, they do their own brainstorming, they self-diagnose, come up with their own strategy and a request for proposal, go to a designer. The designer's job is just to make it look pretty. They go through their rounds of revisions, then they develop something, and it doesn't work. It doesn't get the expected outcome that they thought that it was going to get them. And so whose fault is that? It's the designer's fault. They didn't do any diagnostic, they didn't do any strategy. And so what we propose is allowing the designer and the developer to be involved in the brainstorming and in the strategy phases. So there's nothing wrong with this process. This process is absolutely fine, but it actually will give you the highest ROI. Everybody's gonna be happier in the end, and you can be more confident of the results that you're gonna get at the end of the development if you have the designer, the marketer involved in each step of, or each phase of this process. Now, the way we do this at Butler is we do discovery. The way we bridge the gap between strategy and design is we have facilitated meetings with the clients and the key stakeholders where we do what's called a discovery session. In this discovery session, it's not me giving my ideas to the client. It's my job to facilitate the meeting, to hear the client's needs and extract the answers from them. I believe every business, every client, they have the answers to their own challenges. And I just want to learn about their business. I want to understand their users. I want to define their brand and prioritize their goals by extracting those answers from the client in what we call a discovery session. Now, what we do in this discovery session is 4 things. Learn their business. So I want to learn how you make money. We do a competitive analysis. I want to learn about your competition. What is your value proposition, your promise of value that you're offering to your customers or your users? And what are the outcomes that you're looking to get? So you're obviously coming to a designer or to some kind of branding agency for a reason. What is the expected end result that you're hoping to get from this? So I want to learn about your business. We also want to understand your users. When we understand your users, we usually build out personas. User types, demographic information, so age, gender, location, psychographic information, so what motivates them, what are their buying habits, why do they engage with you, how do they find you, what is their journey to your company. We want to know exactly who we're talking to, because when we know who we're talking to, we know how to talk to them in a way that they understand, because you could be speaking 2 different languages and you're not going to be able to communicate the message correctly to whoever it is you're trying to target. So we want to learn or understand your users. So we learn your business, understand your users, define your brand. And so in the brand attributes section of our discovery sessions, we figure out who are you? What is your culture? What is your voice? Your culture is the environment, the surrounding, the atmosphere of your business. Your voice is how you come across, your posture, your tone, your messaging. Your X factor is how you're radically different from your competition down the street who offers the similar product or service that you do. So we really want to define your brand. And then we prioritize goals. We talk about revenue priorities and awareness priorities. Revenue meaning how are you making money and what areas do you want to focus in to get your revenue up. And also awareness channels. Awareness channels is how are we making your users aware of your brand. So you can do that through website, social media, video, print marketing, content marketing, emails. I mean, there's a ton of different awareness channels, and so we really want to figure out the ones that you as a company are trying to focus on so we can prioritize those goals. And so those are the four sections or topics that we talk about in our discovery sessions. And when I do discovery, the deliverables, what we give to the client, is a brief. And so all we're doing is facilitating a meeting. We're the designer. We're not involved in the vision. We're just learning what your vision is, what your expected outcomes are. We're facilitating a meeting in this brainstorming session to get all of these answers from you so that we can know who you are, who your users are, so we can craft a message that is authentic to your brand in a tone that your users can relate to and resonate with so that they can be moved to some kind of action. And so we're involved in the strategy phase. And then from the strategy, we go to design and develop. So before we go to design and develop, we compile a brief, which is just a detailed list of all the things that are discussed in discovery. So it comes with a brand audit, competitive analysis. We want to see not what your competition is doing so that we could copy them by any means, but we want to see what has already worked so that we can tweak it for our brand in a unique way. Messaging samples, stylescapes, which is just an example of what it can look like from a design perspective to accomplish the goals that we've already determined from the discovery session. So vision, brainstorm, which is called discovery. From discovery, we develop a brief which dictates the strategy. And from the strategy, now we can go to design. And so when we make design decisions, this is what it looks like. It doesn't matter about green or blue or who likes what, or it's not subjective. It's coming from an objective point of strategy. So everything that we design has a reason behind it. And then we go to develop. So this is more of the technical stuff. So this is what it should look like. This is making it actually work. So this is more of the coding and technical aspect. And then from there we can continue, which is maintain. We repeat this process, we tweak it, we grow, we repeat. And so that's it. That's what design strategy is. Again, a designer is trying to solve a design problem or a design challenge. A strategist or brand strategist or design strategist is trying to solve business challenges through design. And that's the difference. So if you guys have any questions, please comment below. Visit butlerbranding.com. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Talk to you soon.